And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Who grew up tall and proud in the shadow of the mushroom cloud? This now voices can't be heard. Just wanna scream it louder and louder and louder. What the hell we fighting for?
Yeah! What are we fighting for here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the beautiful studios of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com, here at the Freedoms Phoenix Farm. Got chickens! You're going to need some chickens, some goats, and some garden, because I tell you, if you're counting on the man making sure everything's all good for you. I just came from Los Angeles yesterday. We were there spending some time doing some interviews, and I'm driving. It's late at night. It's like midnight. There is a train of 18-wheelers that come from the L.A. ports coming into Phoenix. I mean, late at night, it's just 18-wheelers, boom, 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 to supply all this stuff. What happens when, the supply train stops? What happens when something, any kind of little insurgencies, any kind of, I'm mad. You cut off a, one little bitty, $200 bomb on this train track and a little bit of activism and fire and yoo-hoo on this highway here or whatever. We're screwed, man. I mean, and what we got, this thing in Quartzsite going on there right on the freeway. I mean, if they have this kind of civil unrest coming to America, there's going to be a lot of places going, damn. This is damn. How are we going to be able? We got to be self-sustaining. We got to be able to, get off this kind of infrastructure that's controlled by, somebody else. I bring that up because to think that this kind of violence is not going to come to the United States means you have not been paying attention. The same type of thing for the same reasons. Individuals are going to go hungry, bow, bow, bow. This is what started it in the Middle East. This is what's going on in Tunisia, Egypt, Yemen, Somalia. So, it was always about, hey, man, you got 40% of the population living on $4 a day and food goes up 100% in 1 year. Guess what happens? I'm hungry. I don't have a job. The economy starts going down. And I don't have a permit to be able to sell my fruit at the fruit stand. What'd you think was going to happen? Here it goes to England. While they're over there trying to tell these people how to live and what they can and can't do and who gets what, all of a sudden back home they're going, hey, man, we spend all our money. Our banks are going down. We're losing stock market. Gold's starting to shoot up. All of a sudden, Hugo Chavez says, you know what? I want all my gold. 211 tons of gold in the London banks. You got it, right? Well, maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Well, they got to scrounge it together, so what do? They got to go buy it, I guess. What happened? Boom. Gold shoots to the roof. All of a sudden, we're going to $2,000 gold. Remember they said, no, it'll never be $2,000. Heck. I'd be shocked if it's not $2,000 and, well, you can't even say when. It just someday. Well, what does that mean? Dollars going down, purchasing power, inflation of people on fixed incomes. Same thing has happened in England. So the economic opportunities are not there. Now, off air, I was talking to Murtaza, and he expressed some affection for Dr. Paul's efforts and so on. So I have to ask you, what's your philosophical bent? I mean, what attracts you to someone like Dr. Paul out there saying what's what?
I'm not specifically married to any side, left or right wing. I'm interested in people who have ideas that are actually make common sense to people and that actually propose a real solution to the problems we have. You see it really from people on both sides of the spectrum. Like Dr. Ron Paul has said it, and Dennis Kucinich says it in a different way, which may or may not, one of them may be more feasible, but they're both saying the same thing, that what's going on right now is insanity. It's going to lead us to mass destruction of a society. We're ignoring the real rules. We're following ideologies and building empires and not taking care of the problems which are coming up at home right now.
Well, what are the problems? From your perspective, I mean, for you to have an interest in what's going on, you're in Toronto, you have an interest in American politics, you're on salon.com, you're writing about what's going on in London. I mean, your interest and your view is what? I mean, why do you care? Really, what happens in America and what's thing is, it's starting in the Middle East, it's moving through Europe, and it's getting to North America, too. The world is interconnected to the global economy. So what happens in America is going to affect everyone in the world. It's the biggest economy in the world. So my fear is really you're seeing a domino effect from the Middle East straight through Europe. Greece, Spain have all been having the same protests as well, too. It hasn't been in the news, but it's been there.
England is now having absolute chaos, and the next domino to fall would be America. And really what's scary there is the same ingredients were happening in England exist in America as well, too. Economic challenges, youth unemployment even higher in America than it is in London. And you're seeing really the same potential that's going to happen here. It'll affect everybody.
You know, my opinion has been America is not necessarily what they try and portray it as. I mean, they want to, America is this homogenous, one-size-fits-all, big lump of whatever. And it really has always been, because of our heritage, a little bit more autonomous. You got small communities, small towns, rural, that even states are different. Their laws are different. Their culture is different. And they try and make it the United States of as if it was one thing, but it's more like, I'll tell you what it's like. It's like Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, they're trying to get them to have a national, soccer team. We're going to have a national flag, and they're going, who the heck are you, man? The only thing we recognize is tribal leader de la this valley that I can see from there to there, and that's all I know. Afghanistan, what? You say I'm in the same country as, Hassim's tribe on the other side of the mountain ridge, whatever. Screw them guys. I don't have anything to do with them. So it's this Western idea that somehow you can force an homogenization of a country into some geographic boundary that map makers years ago did and said, oh, this is your country. And they're going, screw you, man. So I don't see that people really understand. They're trying to give this portrayal. But I think what's happening here in the United States is we are a lot of different people. We understand each other. We got, different people live in different areas, and we are probably more homogenous than a lot of other places. But we've always had a heritage and a culture of a lot more tolerance. Where the enemy is it's this force that's trying to put us on one plantation and make us plow and beg them for the privilege to do it. And I'm going, I don't see that happening. So the violence that will come here, I'm not sure where it will come from, since our culture is a little bit more oriented towards taking care of yourself. I don't see that they're going to be taken to the streets begging for somebody to do something. There has to be some other thing. It's going to be like a shooting of someone. It's going to be somebody going after invasion of police being brutal. So I think if that's what they want to try and show the violence here in America, they're going to have to create it. They're going to have to make it. And I'm wondering, does that serve anyone's interest? Whose interest was served by having this violence in England? I know you're like, I don't think they anticipated this coming, but, what are they going to do to stop it, and who benefits?
See, the thing is, that's a good point about America as well, too. It's one country, but really each state, you can argue, is almost autonomous on its own. It's almost a country unto itself. It's a federation of different countries. The only thing that really unites people, and they can get everyone to go on the same page, is something like scary, like violence or threat of war and so forth. So when you have this type of situation, it really just empowers the federal government, and it takes rights away from the people at the lower levels, at state levels and the community levels, because we have to unite to fight some violent threat, which is undefined, we don't really understand. And the only way we'll be able to do it is by giving up our individual rights or our rights on a community level and going with the broader program.
Well, tell me about Canada. Are they being affected at all? I mean, their economy, I know it's closely tied to the United States and the world, but are they faring as badly, or are they doing okay?
For the time being, Canada's been doing all right. Our economic structure was set up differently. It was set up more conservatively. There was less risk in the banks and so forth. So by and large, the banks did not collapse and did not have the same problems they're experiencing in Europe, for instance.
Well, I remember years ago, probably when you were a lot younger, this kind of thing was going on in Canada, and it came in and said, look, we're not going to go down this dark path. We're going to cut a lot of the social services. We're going to trim a lot of the government. And there was a lot of complaints then, but man, boy, they're smiling now.
When they cut the services, they did not cut in such a quick way. Like, they did it in a phased way, and they didn't have such expenditures on foreign military and so forth. Our military spending is tiny in Canada in comparison to other countries.
Well, so they don't need to do it if they'll just let the United States run roughshod and do whatever they want up in their land. We'll take care of it. Just get out of our way. Oh, we'll be right back with more with Murtaza Hussain on the British austerity and resulting riots.